You know who made it. Folks, you have no idea. No idea what just happened. Literally, like right as we were starting the countdown, we do like the 10-minute countdown. My boom mic, this thing, literally just broke. Just broke right as I was starting the countdown. So I was trying to fix it. Luckily, I had this backup mic, and the backup mic broke. So, uh, literally just trying to fix the stuff on the fly. Might as well change it to the Jerry Rig podcast because that's what it feels like right now. But anyway, if you can hear me, if you can get good sound, it looks like I have pretty good sound. Just let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, welcome to Rickcast, ladies and gentlemen, on a beautiful April 3rd, 2025. Yeah, maybe it is, but this thing, I've had that boom mic for 3 years and it just, and then luckily I found this thing, but I had to find a screw to adapt it, and it's all right. Thumbs up if you can hear me okay. It should be. The sound, I look like I'm getting pretty decent sound on it. Maybe not as loud as I'd like it to be. Maybe I can work on the gain a little bit to get a little bit more. There we go. I should be able to be fine as well. So yeah, it's interesting in that. Okay, cool, good. So hey, if this works, I'll just keep it like this for a while because I don't really want to be spending money on a new boom mic. I hope everybody's having a fine Thursday, the 3rd of April, 2025. Everything seems to be going good now that we're at least up and running. So we got a great show. I do. Despite all this, I still have an amazing show for you, the audience, because you deserve it, and you're gonna get it. This Austin, I mean, we're starting off on kind of a, not, I don't want to say like a goofy note, but just a note where it's like, everything's kind of weird, but we actually have a pretty serious subject to talk about as far as main topics are concerned. Talking about Austin Metcalf. Not a lot of people are talking about this. This was a tragic situation that took place in Frisco, which is north of Dallas, where you may have seen this, you may have not. I can get rid of that. Austin Metcalf was stabbed at a track meet over a seat by another man. It was a white on black attack, and mainstream media is not talking about it, but conservative media is. I don't even want to say conservative, alt media is talking about it, where conservative mainstream media is not talking about it for obvious reasons. They are fomenting division and hatred, and that's really what they want to do. So we're going to talk about it as best we can. I have a different take. I know Jason Whitlock did like 90 minutes on it this morning. It was very good. Steven Crowder talked about it a little bit as well. They're looking at it from Whitlock, he had a lot of things to say that he could. I'm going to touch on it from he talked about race and all these things, and then he talked about Christianity. I'm going to talk about it from a very specific point of view. It's the same thing I talk about when I discuss mass tragedies and quote unquote gun violence and other things that legacy media wants to talk about. I have a different perspective as usual. And of course, after that, we're going to talk about how everybody is freaking out. The market is apparently tanking because the tariffs are in, but not many people are talking about the long-term effect, which I think is going to happen. I'm not against economic protectionism, which is essentially what these tariffs are. Ford today announced that they're going to give employee pricing to all customers for the next couple years. Would you look at that? Looks like that fear tactic of your cars are going to be more expensive, at least from a Ford perspective, has been nipped in the bud. Now, would I buy a Ford? Probably not. But yes, everybody, the thing is, guys, markets dip. It's one day. they'll rebound. I'm not a financial expert. Don't take financial advice from me. But they dip, they come back. It's just the way these things tend to work. So you could get upset about it, which I get. Or you could just say, all right, this is not great. But unless you're pulling your money out today, it's not in particularly, it's very interesting. We'll talk about this. Actually, we can talk about it now because we're not really addressing tariffs in tonight's show. But the people who voted for Trump are not people who generally own stock. I know it's weird. Outside of like pensions and 401ks, which we all kind of have here and there. Your Harris voter is the one who was wealthy, who had stock options and all these other things. Your blue collar worker, the one who didn't have money to invest outside of their 401ks and stuff like that. They're the ones who voted for Trump, and they don't care about tariffs, and they don't care that the stock market is crashing. It doesn't matter to them. You're like, oh, the market is terrible. They're like, we don't care about no market. We don't care about no market. What are you talking about? We want them jobs, which is eventually the idea long term. Then we're going to talk about Lara Loomer. Cesar, look at Cesar in the chat. What's up, buddy? I know. That's Cesar has a good point. Doesn't have it, so he doesn't care. Michael is very reflective. Well, the idea of collecting Social Security or 401k, I mean, at this point, do you even? Because if you're going to listen to News from the Pew with Steve and I, which is coming up in a little bit, because it's Thursday, it's a double header for me. G, good evening. Good to see you, my friend. We are very active tonight. And here's the thing, Mark. I don't think it's going to rebound. Stocks usually rebound. They don't crater forever. So I don't think you're going to be in a bad place long term. So it is what it is in that regard. And then finally, as I always do, an entertainment story at the end of the show. There's a movie called The Ballerina coming out from the John Wick universe. It's a masterclass in what to say on the promotional circuit. Arna de Armas, if I don't know how to say her name, because nobody really cares about her name. Let's be real. She had a good quote, in case you're not around, because everybody wants like a female Bond, and they want a female, they want female action movies. And she's like, why don't you just let James Bond be male? Why don't you just let Ethan the Hunt be male? And then just make female-led action movies. We want our own stuff, which is a good thing. That's what we want to hear. Not that anybody's going to go see those action movies, but at least, her company, her PR is like, don't, go the exact opposite of what everybody else is saying. And I think that's going to help her in the long run. So let's get into it, folks. Now that we've cleared the deck of all our technical issues. Also, about 10 minutes before the show, I went outside and I had these, because here in Texas, it's anthill season. So I had tons. I had in my front yard, I had 7 or 8 fire ant hills, little. They were just starting to build. And so I went out in flip-flops. I'm not the smartest man in the world. And I decided to put the little powder on there, and it wasn't great. It wasn't a great experience. I was running around trying to clean myself off and everything before. Not like I got in my eyes or anything, but there was that, and I got fruit flies in my garage just because, they're evil and they're from the devil. So that's what's going on. We got plenty of time for Scotch to come down, Cesar. I think we're gonna be all right. We're gonna make Scotch cheap again, as Brian would say. We're gonna make beer cheap again. That's the big goal. We got to make sure that market's taken care of. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our first couple stories. Got 2 hot takes for you before we start the show. Here I am. Boom. Trump comes out and unveils. He actually shows you what a $5 million gold card will look like. President Trump unveiled a new $5 million gold card during a press interaction on Air Trump 1. He described the card as potentially available for purchase in less than 2 weeks, with himself the first buyer. The card's purpose and legal standing remains unverified, with no official source confirming the existence of it. But who cares, because the left-wing media is freaking out. So let's take a look.
For $5 million, this could be yours. That was the first of the cards. You know what that card is?
Gold card.
It's the gold card. The Trump
Of course,
card.
it's got his giant face on it. He's got his giant face on that card. Oh.
The Trump card, gold card.
Who's the first buyer?
Me. I'm
Who's the second?
First. I don't know. But I'm the first buyer. It'll be out in about less than 2 weeks, probably. Pretty exciting, right?
I mean, yes. Yeah, kind of seems tone deaf. Not with those tariffs. Yeah. The gold card's kind of weird. And really, I think Cesar, this is a great point. It is Mr. Chaos doing what he does, which is just throwing everything at the wall. Bah, 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 bah. We're doing gold card tariffs. We're going to deport. We're going to do that. Bah, bah, boom, 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 boom. And just trying to keep on moving things along. We talked about this when he announced it. I'm not a fan. Conservative bros are like, oh, Trump's so great. He's going to, you're selling it and he's going to invest in America. Can we not? Can we just not do immigration right now? Can we just not do it? I don't care if they're willing to pay $5 million, $10 million, $100 billion to be citizens. Let's just not do it. Let's just have a moratorium on immigration for a while, and then we'll move on from there, because immigration is unchecked. It's unfettered. It's driving down jobs. It's making housing crappy. I mean, they always talk about who's going to build houses. I don't know if you've looked at a new build lately, but they're not built very well. So, yeah, Trump's showing off the gold card, and people are not very receptive to it because, A, you didn't like it to begin with. I didn't like it to begin with because I didn't think it was a great idea. And B, don't go that way. I'm going to mess around with this mic the whole night because it's brand new and I'm going to. And B, I don't know. Maybe he could have waited a week before that. But the thing is, when you have the conservative bros, the Trump, I don't know. We need to come up with a good name for them. The Trump lickers. They are. And the conservative media. Sorry, I'm not banging on the guy, but Nick Soros, that guy. Everything Trump does is amazing. We can actually say this time, it's not a great look, Trump. Don't do this. Right? We just can't do this right now. Wait like 2 weeks. Wait for the market to rebound. You have to get this stuff out. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get all this stuff out there in the press and moving on before midterms. That is the goal. He wants to get it out anytime soon. The longer you get it out before midterms, the less likely the public's going to remember it. So that's the idea. The MAGA church. I mean, it is the church of the MAGA. Yeah, the devotees of President Trump who says he can't do any wrong. This is wrong. So it is, it's not a great look. I don't like it. And I'm glad to see my audience isn't stupid. My audience is the best looking, smartest audience out there. And then there's Steph. But I'm kidding, Steph. We love you. Anyway, so that's the first story of the night. You guys are not fooled by the Trump mirage, right? The Trump mirage of everything is great. And I don't even blame Trump because he's got the sycophantic circle around him telling him everything he does is amazing. Yes. And so it is what it is in that regard. So that's a good first look. I think my light died. And I think my light died. I'll take a look during the next video. I was using it earlier today, but all right. Next story up, ladies and gentlemen. Second hot take from X. Not you, Trump. You're done. Get out of here. We're done with you. Here we go. This came up earlier today. White House area cleared after suspicious package was investigated. So today, a suspicious package near the White House prompted a significant law enforcement response, including Secret Service and bomb disposal squads. The package was associated with a man who was arrested near the White House, leading to temporary closure of several streets and evacuation of nearby buildings, including the Treasury Department and a hotel. After investigation, authorities determined that there was no explosive in the device and the situation was resolved. Why are we talking about this? Because there does happen to, if you go on TikTok, which Trump is trying to save for some reason, there is a lot of people on TikTok, and I know they're talking smack. I get it. I know they're just talking smack. There's a lot of them who are talking about, hey, somebody's got to do the thing. They got to Luigi Mangione Trump and so forth, and it's a higher rate. But, of course, Michael, who has seen the Ark of the Covenant and lived near the White House, I don't know why you're not hosting the show instead of me. Yeah, bomb threats and things like that are normal for the White House and the Secret Service. Of course, in a 24-hour news cycle and in a cycle where content needs to be consumed at an alarming rate and everybody's trying to get some kind of story, it is interesting to see this happen as well. And yeah, it's just kind of associated with, hey, it's one thing or another, and the idea that it's ramping up tensions is something that people are very open to, and I don't want to say fear mongering because I don't think it's fear mongering, but it is what it is. All right, folks, that's it. Oh wait, we do have a video here from somebody who is on the scene.
Hey guys, Ty McCullough, White House correspondent with the Next News Network. So we've got something that's breaking right now. The police found a suspicious package right on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Building. The bomb squad and police are clearing it now. There's an incredible police presence from what I've heard. I know that the White House has stopped all visitors. They shut down Pennsylvania Avenue in front of it. On grounds, we're looking okay because we got that giant building shielding us from where it would be on the other side. But I tell everybody when you come out here, this is simultaneously the most dangerous place in the world and the safest place in the world. I just want to say God bless and protect the people out there trying to work.
All right, block, buddy. God bless the USA, all that kind of stuff. Whatever, dude. So that's it for our hot takes. Kind of a slow news day, if you will. It is the middle of the week. So anything that would be as notable is kind of it's been pushed off. Tomorrow will be a big news day because Thursdays are usually big news days. Friday is a news dump, which will be completely empty and nobody will care. But us, we'll make fun of everybody here on Rickcast because that's what we do. There are smarter shows out there. There are more informed shows out there. And then there's just this show, which is just fun. It's a bunch of bros and ladies hanging out, just really kind of figuring out, right? We're just trying to kind of figure out. I am nothing more than a vessel to see for you guys to comment and talk and come together and try to figure out what's going on. That's what's going on here. No noose is good news from Robin Hood, Men in Tights. All right, now we got to take it down a little bit because this story, I like to have fun, and I like to treat most of the news in a jovial manner because most of it is not life or death. But I will talk about this story in a little bit more serious terms because it's unfortunate. So we are gonna approach this one right now. So rising football star Austin Metcalf was fatally stabbed in Frisco, Texas at a track meet. So this is, I mean, if you look, here we go. There's a better story about it. Stabbed in the heart and left to die in his twin brother's arms. So Texas high school football star, he was stabbed in the heart and died in the arms of his twin brother in a fight over a seat at a track meet, his family members said. Austin Metcalf was attending a track and field championship between two other schools in Kennedale Stadium. When I was coaching in Texas, I only went to Dallas ones. I didn't actually go outside of them, so I don't even know what the Kendall Stadium in Frisco, which is actually only like 10 minutes away from the Star. If you're big into football, I don't know if anybody here is big into football, but the Cowboys have their practice facility and they call it the Star, and it's, you know, like everything else that the Cowboys do, it's a multi-billion-dollar facility. It's like 3 miles or 3 minutes away. It's very, very close to this. Frisco is a very affluent neighborhood. You know, there's Dallas, and then there's Frisco. There's a couple other areas above that. What's the really South Lake, which is more on the Fort Worth side, the South Lake Dragons. But no, this is not a case where you have a visiting team or from Dallas or you know, Irving or one of these other schools, you know, these quote unquote inner city schools. But it's a tragic case, and apparently the fight happened over this spot right here, which, and there's Austin Metcalf, and this is Carmelo with a K, Anthony. If you've ever been to one of these track and field events, which I have when I was coaching, they're boring, they're long, things get kind of just they're just dry as a paint, waiting for people to run and throw stuff. But in the stands, they'll erect tents because it gets hot. You know, here in March, it's either really hot or raining because it's that March, April time of year, right? The springtime, the 3 weeks of spring that we get here in Texas. It's either really hot or it rains consistently. And so they set up tents in the stands because nobody's there. Nobody goes to track meets. And apparently this was the tent area that Carmelo Anthony, not with a K, decided to go sit in. And his Austin Metcalf and his identical twin brother went back to the tent, and Carmelo was there, and somebody said, "Hey man, this isn't your tent. Maybe you went to a different one. Can you know, it's our tent. Can you get out? Can you go find another place to sit?" And this made Carmelo apparently angry, and he started talking back to the guys. And that's when Austin Metcalf is not a small dude. He's like 6 feet, 6'1", 200 pounds. He was starting his senior year, and he was a top Division I football prospect. So he's not a tiny guy. Yeah, see, that's the area. And so Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old senior at Sentinel High School, which is just 5 minutes away in Frisco. So a lot of people are trying to say, well, this kid comes from a broken home. From all the reports that I'm hearing and the people that are reporting, somebody like Whitlock, who lived in Texas for a while, is big in the high school football scene, or at least has friends there. Carmelo Anthony is not from a broken home. Carmelo Anthony is actually from a home of abundance, and he lives in a good neighborhood, and he has 2 parents. So this is not a case of an inner city school kid from a broken home in one of these events and popping off. This is a kid that apparently lived right down the street. He was told he was sitting in the wrong seat, and then he allegedly drew a knife and pierced Metcalf through the heart. And the dead teen's father, Jeff Metcalf, told NBC News Dallas-Fort Worth. Hunter, who was born 2 minutes after Austin, Hunter Metcalf, his twin brother, rushed to his aid. He tried to whip around as fast as I could. I don't want to play the interviews because I feel bad that they even interviewed the kid, but I looked at my brother, and I'm not going to talk about the rest. He tried to help him. The heartbroken brother said that neither of the siblings had ever met Anthony prior to Wednesday's meet, and the whole fight taking just seconds. And I tell that in self-defense situations where people don't realize how quickly and how bad things can get when we talk about, having to use a firearm or a knife or trying to, de-escalate situations. Because that's one of the things we talk about in our LTC training. When I do that is we talk about de-escalation of situations. These are 2 17, 18-year-old males at a competition where their testosterone and hormones are through the roof. They have no idea what a de-escalation conversation would be. And so that's why this kind of just went off the rails as quickly as it did. And so this takes place. Austin dies. Get out of here, please. Come on. So let's see. They were twins, identical twins. The brother was holding him, trying to make the stop bleeding, and he died in his brother's arms. Now, and these are some more pictures of there's the Metcalfs and their father. He was obviously he was apparently a 4.0 student involved in his local church, a good kid all around. And now the talk about Carmelo and the accusations that he's a thug and he's all this and he's that and he's one or the other. Doesn't help that Carmelo decided to put these pictures on his Instagram. Not great. It's not a great look. Now, of course, Jason Whitlock did talk about the fact that he is under a lot more pressure as a black youth. You think there was a girl? I wouldn't be surprised if there was a girl involved, because men fight over two things in life. Men usually fight over two things. What are those two things? Money and women. It's usually money and women. And since high school kids don't have money, it's usually girls. So that being said, Whitlock had some great things. He could talk about it from a different perspective than I could, me not being a black man. But this is just a reflection of the culture of death that we live in. And a lot of people kind of peck around the edges of this issue. And Whitlock even talked about this for a couple minutes, and Crowder didn't talk about it at all. That whether it's black or white doesn't matter. Abortion is an issue in this country, in this union of states, that is promoted. It's promoted, especially in the educational system. And if we cannot protect the most vulnerable in the womb, how can we expect any male or any person to value life in any way, shape, or form? And that's always been my retort to people who say, well, gun violence this and gun violence that. Well, we live constantly in Western society in a cult of death, in a culture of death, in a culture that promotes the murder of the unborn. And because of that, it's definitely an issue that is not talked about, and it's not looked at, because they'll say it's gang culture, it's disc culture, and all of these things are correct. But at the root of every single one of these, is murder. At the root of every single one of these cultures is death. It doesn't matter. Pick out your culture. Even in a lot of Christian cultures, right? A lot of Christian groups here. Even some Catholic ones, sorry to say. Fornication is not looked down upon. And contraception, which is a form of abortion, in my opinion, is not looked down upon. So when we do not value life across the board, these types of things will happen, especially in the black community, where, and the sad thing is Carmelo comes from a life apparently of privilege, you would almost say. But it's still expected of him to act a certain way. And it's very sad to see. And the fact that I look at is, while we have a culture of death, these things will happen. Life will not be respected in any other way. Why should we expect life to be respected at this level? Because it's not there. The reverence for the individual and the soul that is inside that individual, we don't have it. And as long as we continue to not look at that, this is going to be the case. No matter what, and that, I'll say it one more time, no matter what culture you want to ascribe this to, no matter what culture, black culture, hip hop culture, blah, blah culture, single mama culture, it doesn't matter. The root of every single one of those is abortion in this union. There are very few cultures in this Western civilization that promote life. And that's the simple fact. So these things are allowed to continue. All right. This is Rickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. My YouTubers, you guys are super active and I love it. I need every single one of you to kung fu that like button. It helps the algorithm out. I see 3 of you over there on Rumble, my 3 Rumble watchers right now. I need you guys to hit that like button as well. It tells the algorithm people like the Rickcast, baby. Oh, that was awful. I can't believe I even said that. Anyway, let's move on to. I'm sorry. I apologize. I wouldn't hit the like button after that. Let's get to the next story of the night. Okay. Let's see. This is interesting. So people are freaking out about tariffs. People are freaking out about, the loss. We did a story on it, I think, last week. Ferrari said, hey, we're going to tax your cars 10% because of the whole thing that Trump did. And we went, no, 10% more for Ferraris. What a shock. Of course, they said, all your cars are going to go up 10%, which people like me who are not stupid said, have you seen the prices of cars on parking lots? There's a lot of 2023s sitting on parking lots right now because they're overvalued. Have you looked at a Dodge lately? A 6-cylinder Dodge Ram? Have you looked at a Chevy truck? Have you looked at the Ford Broncos? Have you looked at the only vehicles that are selling well are cheap Nissans, Toyotas, because people will still pay for them, and like the Ford Maverick, that stupid little truck, because it's around $30,000. Everything else is overpriced. It's been overpriced since COVID. Yeah, Jeeps are nuts. Jeeps are absolutely insane. People are like, Jeeps used to be an inexpensive alternative because you knew it was going to be in the shop 90% of the time. Now you have to buy it and put the stupid ducks on it. But yeah, you're right, Mark. There are some pickup trucks like the Raptors. The Raptors that used to have the nice big V8 engine, those were like 79, I think. Don't quote me on that. Now the crappy V6 turbos are like 120,000. And they're like, oh, it's going to take 10% more on your car. Okay. Considering how much money they are now, that's a little insane. I mean, what's 10% more? But Ford came out today. Ford Motor Company is going to offer employee pricing to all U.S. customers. Really? And if you think this is just a headline, you can listen to the guys from Ford say it themselves.
A month, we're going to offer our customers the same deal that our employees get. And as you say, that's worth thousands of dollars. You come into our store, you get employee pricing. This is kind of to call a little bit of a timeout. We've heard some uncertainty from our customers, and we want them to be assured that Ford, the most American auto company, is going to do right by them, as are our dealers. We make the most cars here. We employ the most. We export the most. And so we here at Ford, we're in a good position to address customers' concern and give them a really great deal on a great vehicle.
So that's great.
So there you go. And this is I wish there was American quality. And I like how they say the most American made. They ship their parts in from China. They build them in Mexico or in Canada, and then they import them into the U.S. So, Ford's trying to move inventory. And from a business perspective, I like it. I think it's a smart idea to kind of capitalize on people's fears. Like, hey, I know everybody thinks prices are going to go up. We're going to take care of you. And that may bring some people in. Now, the Ford vehicles are still way overpriced, but at least it's a counter narrative to the left's fear tactics of, well, everything's going to be more expensive and your life is going to be over and everybody's going to hate you and it's terrible. It's like, well, this crappy car company says they're gonna give you some incentives to move some vehicles. And this is what people were arguing. Now, I'm not trying to get indoctrinated into the church of Trump, but I'm just saying that this is how the market usually responds to this kind of stuff. Right? This is how the market responds if it's allowed to. Now, I'm not a capitalist by any means. I know some people are like, I'm a capitalist. I'm actually not, because capitalism and socialism are kind of two sides of the same coin. I know some people get triggered when I say that, but they can't. There's a lot of similarities between socialism and capitalism that nobody likes to talk about. But it is currently one of the better systems we have in place. And if it's left alone, truly, it can do some good things. Now, of course, every system, because we live in a fallen world, right? After Adam and Eve in the fall, nothing is perfect and nothing is going to be 100%. But the fact is, look, this company said, people are nervous. We're out here to reassure you, don't be nervous. We're going to do what we can. We'll absorb the tariff a little bit because we can, and we're not going to pass it on to you. And that's a nice trend to see being set go forward for found on road dead. Fixed or repaired daily, found on road dead. I used to be a huge Ford guy when I was in my 20s. Because, you know, when you're younger, you don't really have like allegiances to anything. So you kind of pick brands. Like, I'm a Ford guy, or I'm a this guy, or I'm a that guy, you know, because you're trying to find your identity. So yeah, I was a big Ford racing guy. I was a big fan of Carl Edwards. I was big into NASCAR for like, I don't know, 8 years. About 8 years, I was big into NASCAR. I was a huge fan of Carl Edwards, and then he kind of just retired. He's like, yeah, I'm done. And you know, I didn't really like anybody else. Now, you know, Bubba Wallace. I'm sorry, I don't like, not because he's black, but because he's a race baiter. I don't have time for race baiting in sports. I don't want it. And so I haven't watched NASCAR in a long time. But I was a big Ford racing guy when I was into NASCAR. Now I am a Honda guy because I don't like extra parts and extra things and extra maintenance issues on my cars. So it is what it is. I'm telling you, man, when I used to work on the radio station, my audience used to just waylay me for driving the ugliest Honda Ridgeline truck on the planet. And the Honda Ridgeline was not a looker in my 2011, but that thing was a tank. And I wish, you know, these are the situations I wish my dad was around for. You know, my dad's been gone for almost 15 years, but you know, my car was still drivable after the hailstorm, and they offered me like $8,000. You know how they can either buy it from you or they can take it out. They offered me like $8,000 for it. I should have taken that and kept the truck. Just fixed the windshield. I didn't care. It looked like it went through Bosnia. I don't care. It was the engine still ran. And I had 150,000 miles on it. Man, I love that stupid thing. I miss it. But newer cars, whether it's a new Ford, whether it's a new Chevy, whether it's a new Toyota, they all have issues. It's because of the EPA regulations. And that's another reason why people are not buying new cars. They're overpriced and they're not great reliability wise. They're just not good vehicles every time. Don't think of me, man. Think of my Ridgeline, right? It's out there. I know. I miss it. It was a good vehicle. It did everything I asked of it. When I bought the house that I'm currently sitting in, we replaced the floor with vinyl. I think it is vinyl flooring or whatever the case may be. I transferred my house I think it's around 2,400 square feet, something like that. Don't quote me. I carried all 2,400 square, the whole package, put it in the back of the Ridgeline. The tires were on the frame, but it got me home. It did what I needed it to do. But focusing back here, Ford is responding to the tariffs. Expect other companies to respond to the tariffs. And I don't think it's going to be as bad. The short term is going to be tough, and Americans are not used to difficult circumstances. They're not used to any kind of uncomfort or inconvenience. So we're going to see how this works going forward. All right, folks, this is Rick Cast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell if you like what we're doing here and you like the show. I appreciate all of you who are in the chat. I appreciate everybody watching all over the place. Is my Twitch user? My Twitch user is there holding it down out in Twitchville. I don't even know anything about Twitch. I just connected to it. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, dude. Oh, that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. 2010 RAM too. It's like, don't take it, please. Please don't take it. All right. That sucks, dude. I'm sorry. All right. Got 2 more stories up for you today. Let's see here. From, what do we got? CTV News. Trump fires several national security officials after a meeting with Lara Loomer. Is Steph still in the chat? If Steph is still in the chat right now, I'm sure she's going to, freak out about it and tell us all. Listen, I have to give this disclaimer every single time. I kind of think Lara Loomer's crazy. I think she's kind of a nutball. But as far as reporting goes, the more I look into it, the more she's right on a lot of things. Which, when you're that crazy, I think you have to be. I think you have to be on it when you're that nuts. And since she is that nuts, it's good that she's actually accurate on those things. But this was something that everybody has been kind of saying they want to see in light of Signalgate. In light of what happened with the Signal stuff and the people that were not vetted. But let's take a look. President Donald Trump has fired several White House national security officials after he was urged by far-right activist Lara Loomer to purge staffers she deemed insufficiently loyal to his Make America Great Again agenda, which her big thing is about vetting. And she's saying that, and Trump does have a history of not really vetting everybody. And she is right, because his first term was sabotaged by a lot of people that were associated with Trump, but were not on board with Trump, and they made it more difficult. Loomer made her case for the firings to Trump in an Oval Office meeting on Wednesday. The people said, speaking with condition of anonymity, I can't say it. You make fun of me in the chat. I can't say that. To discuss sensitive personal matters. Vice President J.D. Vance, Chief Staff Susan Wiles, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Sergio Gore, Director of the Presidential Personnel Office, took part in the meeting. The move by Trump to push out staff comes at a tumultuous moment for Waltz as he fights calls for his ouster after using the publicly available encrypted Signal app to discuss planning for the sensitive March 15th military operation targeting Houthi militia in Yemen. Trump has said he stands by Waltz, who traveled to Florida with Trump on Thursday, which just means Trump's going to bury him in the actual swamp. Everybody, how about anybody? I don't get it. You can't just give me like half sentences, Steph. I'm kind of retarded. You got to give me the whole sentence. So it is what it is. So, the Live Golf Tournament. That was probably one of my favorite things I ever did when I was subbing in Mike Church's show one morning. And I just told everybody that the Live Golf Tournament was better than the PGA. You would have thought that I had accused I just crucified Trump. That's how many people were mad. I still stand by that. Anyway, the President Personnel Office has fired at least 3 senior NCS officials and multiple lower-ranking aides since Wednesday's meeting with Loomer, according to the people familiar with the situation. NCS spokesman Brian Hughes declined to comment on the meeting or the firings, saying the White House does not discuss personnel matters, even though they discussed personnel matters. Now, Loomer has promoted 9/11 conspiracy theories, was a frequent presence on the campaign trail during 2024 campaign. Most recently, she's been speaking out on social media about members of Trump's national security team that she insists can't be trusted. Here's the thing. Thank you. Yes. Vetting. You mean vet everybody he doesn't vet anybody. Okay. I mean, consider a source, but Loomer, she was on Crowder's show and she gave receipt after receipt after receipt after receipt about the people who are on the staff that shouldn't be trusted. Why are they there? They're not really MAGA. what's their agenda overall, who knows. And it's a lot of it's definitely, she's very protective of Trump. She's very protective of Trump. I mean, she's a single cat lady. You know, Trump's like her adopted daddy. I said adopted. That was a fun time. I like that because they were so mad. Anyway, NCS officials include Brian Walsh, Director of Intelligence, Thomas Brody, Senior Director for Legislative Affairs, and David Freth, a Senior Director for Technology and National Security. Trump has a long history of elevating and associating with people who trade in falsehood and conspiracy theories, as he regularly regularly amplifies posts on social media. All right, blah, 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 blah. I like how Ground News says this is a central app, but it is what it is. Yeah, I agree, Steph. It's a weird relationship, but on the surface, there's nothing negative about it. She's just very protective of Trump, you know, and he knows that, and she's a valuable asset at this time. And I think that it's a good thing that he's listening to her, because even though she's, you know, seven beers short of a full keg, she's right on a lot of these things. So it behooves him to at least listen to an outside source, because the people on the inside are not helping. All right, this is Brickcast. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. I'm starting to finally get comfortable with my new setup here, my involuntary setup with my mic, which I like you. You're fine. What can I say? I'm talking to a camera, so I talk to my stuff. Anyway, let's get to our last story of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last story of the day. This one is our entertainment section to talk about. And I'm sorry for the crappy background, but I can't control it. Apparently, Variety needs money from Sunsip, Raspberry Lemonade. Ballerina star Ana de Armas calls for more original female action films. Says Bond should let James be James. There's Ana de Armas, which many men are very thirsty for her. Okay. Now I'll address that after. So Ana de Armas says that there should be more films like her forthcoming bare-knuckle action project Ballerina, rather than tinkering with gender-swapping legacy characters like James Bond. A couple years ago, her PR firm would have told her, hey, tell people that this is a good start, but we need more. You know, James Bond should be a woman because of this, that, and the other thing. The shift in Hollywood is real. And the John Wick franchise has been one of the smartest as far as their advertising and knowing their audience. The John Wick audience is people like me, gun guys who love the spectacle and the care that they put into the action scenes. And we're not there for a political agenda. This is not a movie that women are going to go out and see in force. So why sink the film by tying a political agenda to it? As especially everybody's watching Snow White sink faster than the Titanic at the box office. So her PR team pretty much told her, listen, they're going to ask you about James Bond. They're going to ask you about Mission Impossible and all the old school legacy action franchises and whether women should play those roles or whether they should be gender swapped. We're telling you this. Say no. Say we need more original films like mine and let the franchises that are stay the way they are. That's going to be great publicity because people like me are going to promote it by saying this is good press. This is the smart thing to do. This is the wise way to go about it. De Armas was on the ground at CinemaCon promoting her John Wick spinoff from Lionsgate, where she caught up with Variety, blah, blah, blah. The dame and screen legend, she's not a screen legend. She's not really, I mean, she's famous for being attractive. She's really never been in a good film. Nobody's ever really been. Ana de Armas is not known for her acting. Let's just say that. Which is why people are like, oh, we'll see what she does in the John Wick franchise. Because like I said, the John Wick franchise is great for people who do not have a huge range of emotional acting abilities. but can look good while beating the crap out of people. Not saying Keanu Reeves is a bad actor, but they didn't really ask a lot from him after the first John Wick. The first John Wick, he was sad about the dog, and then the rest of them were just like, I'm killing everybody. I'm just killing everybody for everything else. And so, anyway, I think when she was cast, I actually thought that's a good role for her because it doesn't ask a lot from her, but just ask her to be, physically fit and be able to do the stuff. Anyway, she told the UK Guardian that she never liked the way women were in James Bond and that the concept around the billion-dollar spy franchise is drenched and born out of profound sex syndrome. That was not De Armas. That was Helen Mirren making that. That's why they said the Dame and screen legend. All right, well, maybe I should have read the whole paragraph. So Helen Mirren said that James Bond was drenched and born out of profound sexism. We can say with confidence that Dame Judi Dench is a boomer. She's more than a boomer. She's like an ancient boomer. So of course she's going to meet that way. De Armas, they do that. They ask an older boomer and the boomer's like, everything's drenched in sexism and racism. And then they run to somebody else and like, what do you think about that? Because journalists are not your friend. They're looking for sound bites, clicks, and they're looking for people to read their articles. And so her PR team has said very strictly, anybody asks you about any race swapping stuff or gender swapping stuff, shut it down immediately. Shut it down immediately and just say, let the boys have their stuff. Just give us opportunities. And that's going to put a nice pin in it and you can move on. So De Armas made a triumphant debut in the 2021 James Bond film, No Time to Die, where her character was praised for breaking the Bond code. Well, I don't care about that. Why don't we have more movies like about Paloma? Let James be James and John Wick be John Wick. We'll do our thing, De Armas said during an appearance at the John Wick Experience, a multi-room immersive pop-up where fans can check out the Notorious Continental featured in the Keanu Reeves films. There's one of those in Vegas. I'm such a tourist that if I was in Vegas, I probably would go to it. When you can get a woman fighting, you'll be surprised at things she can pull off. I mean, this is not perfect PR. This is not perfect PR, but it's a step in the right direction as far as how to approach these things. The Oscar nominee also noted that the Bond storytelling universe can open new stories, blah, 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 and so forth and so forth. So she's out there. Here you go. There you go, Mark. She's out there promoting her film, and they're trying to catch her in one of these traps of, hey, we should gender swap James Bond, right? And if she says, yes, we should, then that's just going to cause a PR storm. And this film there's already a lot of hesitation around it because there's a fear that, she's going to girl boss John Wick in her film. And that's it. Hopefully they're not stupid enough to do that. But at least she is saying it's not a perfect PR position, but it's a lot better than a PR position you would have gotten a couple years ago, which is showing the shift in how Hollywood is reacting to current cultural preferences. Is it perfect? It is not, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of Rickcast. We were able to get it done despite the technical difficulties. You guys were a part of it, and I thank each and every one of you for doing it. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Do me a huge favor on your way out. Make sure you hit that like button. It helps the show grow. That's kind of the perfect way to end it, isn't it? If you like my commentary, if you want to hang out with me a little bit more, News from the Pew with Steve Cunningham. When does that start? Let's take a look here. It starts in a couple minutes, but let's see. I think it starts at 7:30. He puts it at weird times. I was like, let's start at 7. He's like, how about 7:15? All right, or 7:39. All right. I love Steve, but he does whatever he wants. 7:35. So in about 30 minutes, News from the Pew will start up with Steve Cunningham and myself. I hope to see you guys there. If not, I'll see you tomorrow night here on Rickcast, where we'll end. Oh, wait, did I say Wednesday? That's why, because it's Thursday. I thought it was Wednesday all day. Apparently it was Thursday. Anyway, folks, I'll see you tomorrow, Friday, the 4th of April, 2024. God bless. And until that day comes, ladies and gentlemen, free Dexter Taylor.